Hi everyone, my name is Genevieve Bent and I'm really pleased to be here for Chat Physics Live 2021. I'm here to speak about diversity in physics, increasing underrepresented groups. So I am really passionate about diversity in science, in STEM, and I'm also the founder of Young Gifted in STEM, a new initiative to try and raise engagement of Black and minority ethnic young people into STEM subjects. I am SLT in a secondary school and head up science and sixth form. So that's a little bit about me. So just thinking about diversity in physics. Now, when I was thinking about this, I just had another review of the curriculum and I just wanted to pinpoint a few physicists as part of our curriculum. Now, they may or may not be taught explicitly, but these are 5 scientists that are peppered throughout the physics, both combined and separate qualifications. And I've put a question, the masculine one of the sciences. Now, I have written a couple of articles for Chat Physics and I talked about diversity in physics then. And I put the question, is physics or does physics continue to be the masculine one of the sciences? And so I've put these images here to give us an idea of whether we think that's true or whether we think that is a relatable statement. And I've obviously got Isaac Newton, I've got James Prescott Joule, I have got J.J. Thomson, Rutherford, and these are just some of the scientists that we see on the curriculum or that we see as work celebrated on the curriculum. And so again, it leads me to that question, does physics continue to be known as the masculine one of the sciences? Now, when you Google famous physicists and you search for who is well known for their contributions into physics, and these are the physicists that Google will come up with right at the top of their page. And as you can see, the majority of those scientists have one thing in common in the fact that they are all male, but actually all of those scientists that are shown are all white also. So again, it leads me to think of, well, where's the diversity in physics? Has that improved over the recent years, or is this still something that needs to be looked at and still something that needs to be worked upon? Now, Marie Curie is the one woman that stands out in those headline figures. And you think about the number of men that we see represented as a famous physicist, it leads me back to the question, does physics remain to be a masculine science? And I think that's something that we ask ourselves as practitioners. How can we improve the uptake of physics in females, but also in underrepresented groups like Black students or other ethnic minority identifying students? So physics and the lack of diversity. I thought I'd share with you some statistics, and the references for these can also be found with the notes of this presentation. But only Indian and Chinese students are more likely to achieve an A level than white students in physics. So in 2006, the Royal Society of Chemistry and the Institute of Physics did a joint report, and this was one of the conclusions that they found from the data. 9.8% of the IOP survey respondents identified as Black and minority ethnic. So of the workforce as well as students that had responded to the survey that the Institute of Physics had put out, only 9.8% of them were Black or minority ethnic or identified as such for the purpose of the survey. The next one is a statistic from Jess Wade's article, Dr. Jess Wade's article for the IOP for Physics News. And in the UK, in 1986, girls made up 23.1% of the physics A-level cohort. But in 2018, that had actually decreased to 22.2%. So what were we doing wrong as practitioners, or what weren't we doing? What could we have been doing? What can we be doing to improve that number still? Only 1.7% of all physics undergraduate students were Black women. And again, this is from Dr. Jess Wade's article. And in 2020, only 2.6% of girls chose A-level physics compared to 8.6%, so which were male. So 2.6% of all students who were choosing their A-level subjects were girls choosing A-level physics compared to the 8.6% of men. So again, it leads me to think about what could we be doing as practitioners to improve upon that. And this is something that has been looked upon for years and years. And this is a quote, and it comes from the Institute of Physics' latest campaign, Limitless, which I'll share with you later on in the presentation. But during my secondary school years, I started to think about what I would like to do at university and decided I would either like to do Egyptology or astrophysics. I would discuss various theories about the Big Bang with my dad, who was a keen amateur astronomer, and he never made me feel that I could not do it. But the negativity started when I discussed my career options at school. I was persuaded towards an easier career, and this carried on to my A-levels when I decided to follow my love of astrophysics. Male physics teachers kept telling me I would never make it and that I should do something else. And later on, that same person went on to do an astrophysics degree before doing a PhD in physics, and now is a part-time physicist within the industry. So you can see this testimony really does show the journey that this person had made from being actively dissuaded and given a negative outlook on their future to now being a fully fledged physicist in the industry. So I want to share with you some things that I think are important and some things that we could do as practitioners to maybe hopefully improve the uptake in physics over time. So how do we address this then? So I've taken 4 key objectives that I have done and my department has done to try and improve visibility of not just people in physics, but in people in STEM, which I think is particularly important. So the first one was reviewing the curriculum. The second is reading existing literature to direct curriculum and teaching and inform practice. Third, using outreach and widening participation to promote visibility and stories of success. And fourth, improving the careers provision in your department and within your schools. So auditing your curriculum. Well, thinking about the scientists, the physicists that I showed at the beginning of this presentation, who are the scientists that you teach about? Are they just those scientists? And yes, I know that we are under time constraints, we're under curriculum and pressure constraints, thinking about exams, but also how can we improve our provisions of scientists if we don't take the action to do that and give time to do that? What are the common characteristics between those scientists? What are the differences? If you find that there are more common characteristics than differences, then maybe there is some reflection that we need to do as practitioners to improve our curriculum provision. And what message are you giving to your students, judging by the above? And what I've done is included 3 faces there who are physicists who work in the physics industry, whether that's through study, PhD, or current practice, and they are founders of the Black in Physics movement that took over Twitter and social media last year. There was many Black in movements, so Black in Physics, Black in Chemistry, Black in Astrophysics, and so on. And there are a lot of different role models that we could be using and including in our curriculum and their contributions to science. Reading. So wider teacher reading has allowed us as teachers in my department to incorporate our new learning into our curriculum provision. Now we are probably all aware of hidden figures even, and the contributions that were made by those individuals. And so how could we embed that into our curriculum? Well, if we think about the GCSE separate science physics, space physics we know is a standalone topic. There are definitely areas in which we can embed the stories of hidden figures into our curriculum and those contributions that are made, and widen the interest of our students. Medical Apartheid. This is a book that we started reading as a science department book club. Now it is obviously to do with medicine and how medicine had been used slightly as a weapon against certain minority groups. And of course that relates to disease and infection and response in combined science, but also it can be related to medical physics quite easily. And it allowed us to broaden our knowledge and our depth and be able to contribute to the lessons that we were planning in the department for students. And Superior, The Return of Race Science by Angela Saini. So again, this is another book that we have looked at and allows us to really build a knowledge on how we can widen the curriculum and our provision for our students. And so reading has been really important and imperative for us as practitioners in order to actually look at our curriculum and see where we can improve it. Inspiring students. So there are lots of opportunities for us to get some widened participation support from universities, from workplaces, from institutions, and we can be specific in our requests. We can ask for representation. We can ask for female physicists. We can ask for physicists who are from a BAME background, who are LGBT or other underrepresented groups, disabled in physics, for example. Okay. But thinking about the outreach that they can provide, well, what are their policies on diversity and inclusion? How does this filter out into their outreach work? And there are 3 organisations and initiatives that I've put there too. Black at Lab Fam, and I don't know how many of you physics teachers have heard of this group, but they are a group of Black UK physicists, and they have talked about their journey into physics, they've talked about their successes, their barriers, and they want to talk to young people. They want young people to be engaged with them, and they are a really good opportunity to promote physics to underrepresented groups that we teach. Young Gifted in STEM, as I mentioned, a new initiative that I've founded, and we will be building on the work in 2021. And Minority STEM, they are based on Twitter mostly, but you can reach out to them on social media. You can find representation for your young people. And lastly, careers. So careers talks and profiles, and this is nothing new. This is something that we will be doing as teachers, but using diverse figures and career profiles to really get that message across that physics is for them. Physics is for anybody. It's not just male and it's not just white. It is for everybody. And use of success stories of minority groups in physics and in STEM. And talks and webinars. So in the age of COVID, we know that virtual learning has been one of the biggest things to come out of this pandemic for us as teachers and for students. And so there are lots of opportunities that we can make use of as teachers for our young people. So just wanted to share with you the Limitless Institute of Physics campaign. So it's a new campaign to support young people to change the world and fulfill their potential by doing physics. And this is a quote taken from the website. Our goal is to achieve systemic change that has widespread impact and sustainable change that lasts long after our campaign ends. And we know that there are multiple campaigns. They have been historically, but we know that teaching is one of the most important parts. Teaching, being in the classroom, is one of the most important tools to increase engagement in physics. But campaigns like this are looking to how they can improve systemic and institutional change rather than it just being a short boost of momentum and then moving forward. So, in summary, reviewing your curriculum is one of the most important things that we can do as science teachers, as physics teachers. Who are we showing to our students as successful in science, successful in physics? Whose contributions are we sharing and whose contributions are we overlooking? Reading, to read in existing literature, whether that's reports, whether that is books, to direct curriculum and teaching and inform practice on diversity and inclusion. Remember, it's about increasing underrepresented groups into physics, but also making sure that they feel welcome. Using outreach and widening participation to promote visibility and stories of success of diverse people in STEM and most importantly here in physics. And lastly, improving careers provisions in our departments and within schools.